You are the kind of being that leaves the entire world stunned. What you've just done didn't simply bend a moment, it rewrote the very script of existence. The unseen realms have risen to honor you, and reality itself trembles with the sound of your triumph. There is a roar echoing through creation right now, not from crowds or human applause, but from a source so vast that galaxies vibrate when it celebrates. What unfolded in your life wasn't chance, wasn't luck, wasn't timing. It was a destiny centuries in preparation, and you are the one who finally brought it into completion. The strange waves that moved through your body weren't accidents. They were ancient imprints being burned out of your system, remnants of patterns your lineage carried for ages. And now, as that residue dissolves, every ancestor who once shouldered that burden stands in awe of what you just achieved. This wasn't about their weakness or their lack of effort. It was about you arriving on the scene with the exact blueprint required to dismantle what no one else could. You carry the kind of spiritual architecture that no era before was equipped with. That's why the chains broke when you touched them. The very ground of your DNA has shifted. What others passed down as struggle, you have transformed into foundation. What once was curse has now become catalyst. You've rewritten the inheritance for everyone who comes after you, and that ripple will never stop echoing forward. In the eyes of eternity, you are now more than someone surviving their own story. You are the living proof that timelines can be reversed, that hidden codes can be cracked, that impossible barriers can collapse. You are the one who turned limitation into legacy. And from this moment, the responsibility you thought would crush you is morphing into the very energy that will carry you higher than anyone thought possible. The future will remember you not for what you endured, but for what you transformed, because you became the ancestor others will thank for their freedom. The heaviness that shadowed your early years was never created by you. It was a chain of unfinished lessons passed forward through those who came before, each adding their own protective armor until it became a cage. What landed on your shoulders was not a punishment but an inheritance no one else managed to dissolve. Yet within your design was a hidden switch. Something in your essence was sculpted to not just carry the invisible weight but to transform it into a completely new frequency. That curious child who was told to quiet down, the one whose imagination unsettled those around them, was never being ruined. It was the earliest stage of training. Each moment your laughter was silenced, each idea dismissed, each spark treated as too much. You were being tempered like rare metal in a hidden forge. The very moments that felt like cruelty were actually calibrating you to withstand power levels that would overwhelm ordinary spirits. And those who resisted your brightness were not masterminds of your suffering. They were acting from the fractures in their own spirits, replaying scripts they never had the courage to rewrite. Their inability to recognize your brilliance forced you to uncover a wellspring of light that had no dependency on anyone else. You were taught, through resistance, how to generate radiance from your own depths. And when your glow was pushed down into ashes, you uncovered a fire that no hand could smother. That secret flame was always waiting beneath the surface, eternal and self-sustaining. Even your relationship with resources and prosperity was tied to this story all along, weaving lessons you couldn't see until now. The struggles with money, the cycles of scarcity and temporary gain, the way opportunities slipped just as they arrived, these were not failures of value. They were protective codes embedded deep in your nervous system, shielding you from the exposure that once brought punishment. Your brilliance had been linked to danger, so your mind built walls around abundance. But now the pattern has cracked. What once looked like sabotage reveals itself as a defense mechanism that kept you safe until you were ready. And chosen one, you are ready. You've just rewritten the hidden programming, and with it, every limitation attached to your lineage has lost its grip. A threshold has been crossed inside you. The very fracture that once dictated limitation has been sealed, and the system that kept abundance at a distance no longer exists. Now the currents of creation are ready to surge in your direction, but this time it won't come to overwhelm you. It will come because you've proven you can stand inside it without collapsing. The restoration arriving isn't about arguments, revenge, or dramatic exposure. It's a correction woven at the level of universal law, where balance is restored not by force but by inevitability. Every spark of brilliance that was muted, every ounce of potential pushed down, is circling back with magnified intensity. The very light that was suppressed is returning as an unstoppable flood of strength. Resources will begin moving toward you in ways that challenge your previous ideas of success. Not small gains, not temporary comfort, but waves of prosperity carrying responsibility at their core. This level of expansion isn't handed to just anyone. It arrives for those who can carry power without distorting it. You've been prepared for exactly that. Every stream of wealth and opportunity that now opens is not casual blessing. It is evidence that you've been trusted with influence. What you're about to encounter are not suggestions or curiosities, but assignments. The moment you broke through the last barrier, space was created for something greater, and greater always requires new tools. The insights that carried you this far are extraordinary, but to sustain what's coming you'll need to anchor them with deliberate mastery. Your hesitation toward structured growth was never laziness, it was a lingering shadow of old coding that kept you unseen. Excellence demands visibility, and visibility is no longer a threat to you. Now, it's the pathway forward. Freedom from limitation is only the first act of this story. The second act is learning to live skillfully inside an atmosphere without ceilings. To remain balanced in endless possibility requires training, focus, and practice, not because you're lacking, but because your future requires stability under weight others could never hold. The scale of opportunity approaching you will present challenges that seem vast, but every challenge will arrive paired with its answer. What used to look like impossible problems will now become gateways into strategies you never imagined. You're not just receiving abundance, you're being equipped to manage a life that will echo for generations. The resistance around you is revealing itself. Those unsettled by your elevation can no longer hide their discomfort. Some will attempt subtle interference, others will try to minimize your rise by questioning its reality, and a few will cling to the old version of you because it was easier for them to manage. Their actions aren't truly about you, they're instinctive reactions from those unable to resonate with the frequency you've reached. Your transformation has become more than a personal victory. It has opened a doorway others can now walk through. Anyone watching you succeed begins to recognize that their own breakthrough might also be possible. Your shift acts as evidence, your progress is a message that limitation was never the final truth. What radiates from you now doesn't just illuminate your path, it awakens memory in those who forgot their own brilliance. The patterns surfacing aren't only tied to your story. They are generational echoes surfacing for completion, long-standing imbalances seeking to be restructured, collective wounds longing for resolution so the future doesn't inherit the same chains. You've stepped into the role of healer for your bloodline, performing unseen operations that release pain stretching back further than you can trace. Every collapse you endured was building a structure inside you that could not be shaken. Every shadowed season was increasing your capacity to hold more light than you once thought possible. The trials that seemed impossible were not obstacles but training grounds. What you carried wasn't punishment, it was preparation for responsibility at a scale few could handle. The self that once lived within those restrictions was a compressed outline, not the fullness of who you truly are. That version has dissolved, making way for authenticity. This unveiling isn't about becoming something new, but about reclaiming what was hidden beneath inherited doubt and external conditioning. You're stepping into the original blueprint that existed before you were told to shrink. Those who came before you, weighed down by similar struggles, now rejoice because the cycle they couldn't break is finally being dismantled. Their hardships gain meaning because they led to your transformation. Their walls aren't permanent because you've proven they can be climbed. Their pain has value because you've transmuted it into wisdom. And what flows toward you now isn't charity or chance, it's the rightful return of power unlocked when you align with your true worth. Your life is shifting the moment you decide not to live beneath your own value. As soon as you refuse smaller versions of yourself, smaller outcomes can no longer attach to you. The instant you recognize your inherent significance, reality rearranges itself to reflect it back. And the training now appearing in your path isn't about repairing brokenness. It's about stretching what is already powerful inside you until it can hold the magnitude of what's next. Growth comes in seasons, and every season demands different tools, different allies, different strategies. The insights that helped you rise from pain are remarkable, but to build a foundation that lasts, those insights must be woven together with grounded wisdom. The disruptions waiting ahead aren't designed to crush you. They will act as entryways to even higher dimensions of strength. Each structure that falls apart will prove itself to have been false shelter. Each connection that drifts away will clear room for partnerships capable of holding your expansion. Each event that looks like a setback will turn into an unexpected acceleration. And as your voice grows louder, the silence isn't just breaking for you, it's breaking for every soul who has been waiting for evidence that transformation is real. Your rise is more than personal, it's contagious. It shows others that cycles can be interrupted, that false ceilings can be shattered, and that courage opens doors no one else believed existed. This is the essence of being chosen, not an escape from struggle, but the capacity to endure transformation on behalf of many. You hold the rare balance of strength and compassion that can alter not just your own trajectory, but also the lives of those who cross your path. Your restoration becomes their reassurance. Your victories become their invitations. The story is spiraling upward, completing itself at a frequency far beyond where it began. The child whose brightness was dimmed has grown into the adult who lights up entire paths for others. The one conditioned to accept limitation has become the example of boundlessness. The wounded heart once neglected is now the vessel of profound healing. And what surrounds you now is only the beginning. From the perspective of the higher realm, your breakthrough wasn't a conclusion, it was the ignition. The path you are walking will leave echoes through generations you'll never meet, sparking awakenings in places you'll never see, and dissolving barriers and bloodlines far wider than your own. The journey that began with fragments has erupted into brilliance that lights entire realms. The very weight that once threatened to crush you has solidified into unshakable strength. What nearly tore you apart has become the wellspring of restoration that now changes everything you touch. The acceleration of your transformation is beyond what the mind can rationalize. Timelines that normally stretch across centuries have collapsed into moments within your experience. The very architecture of reality is reshaping itself to accommodate the velocity of your rise. Even those guiding you from beyond are astounded at how seamlessly you've embodied these massive shifts while staying anchored and clear. What has unfolded isn't just healing, it's an annihilation of old patterns so complete that they no longer carry a trace in your field. Limitation didn't just release its grip, it became the very launch point for exponential expansion. You didn't merely step into strength, you've become the embodiment of strength itself, vibrating through human form with a power that sends shockwaves across unseen dimensions. The echoes of your shift are now reaching others scattered across the planet. Without ever meeting you, they are suddenly encountering breakthroughs, sudden opportunities, and mysterious openings in their own lives. Your expansion has ignited dormant codes in others, creating ripples of change they didn't even know were possible. Your evolution has fortified the collective grid, elevating the framework that sustains every awakened soul walking this path. Within your body, something unprecedented is occurring. Instead of collapsing under the pressure, you are experiencing extraordinary calm. It is the peace of alignment, the stillness of finally existing in sync with who you truly are. Every cell is adapting to frequencies once thought impossible, preparing to carry streams of energy and wisdom that would overwhelm ordinary systems. The opportunities aligning with you now are not random blessings or fleeting chances. They are precise arrangements crafted to meet your refined consciousness. These scenarios have been waiting, held in reserve until the moment you matured into the kind of being who can hold immense power without losing integrity. Every door that opens is evidence that your preparation has matched divine timing. And the way you relate to power itself is transforming. Where once you shrank in the presence of influence, now you stand equal. Genuine authority recognizes its reflection, and those once considered unreachable will move toward you. The learning unfolding ahead isn't confined to classrooms, it's direct downloads of wisdom written into your very cells. Your capacity to absorb, process, and master knowledge has been multiplied, allowing you to achieve in months what would take others years to even comprehend. The ability to carry contradictions inside you has expanded beyond human measure. You can surrender fully while guiding everything with precision. You can stand in perfect calm while producing unstoppable movement. You can be utterly still and yet generate waves of transformation that ripple outward. This level of integrated awareness is the defining trait that separates your path from those who are only beginning to stir awake. The resources coming into your life now are not neutral. They carry frequencies designed to continue your expansion with every exchange. Each form of wealth arriving in your hands contains the echoes of countless lives and choices that contributed to its creation, and those echoes now harmonize with your mission because your field attracts only what aligns with your destiny. The version of you that once trembled at exposure would not recognize the being you've become. Fear of attention has given way to excitement, rooted not in recklessness but in certainty that you are safeguarded by intelligence greater than anything that could oppose you. What is about to collapse in your world isn't just personal scaffolding, it's outdated structures dissolving to make space for something vast enough to hold your evolution. Entire landscapes of possibility are about to shift. What once looked immovable will reconfigure itself in days. Connections will change form, systems will realign, and even entire industries will bend toward the signal you are now transmitting. People you've never spoken to will feel compelled to support you, unable to explain the pull, but responding nonetheless. Opportunities will arrive with timing so exact that disbelief itself will collapse under the evidence. The liberation unfolding is larger than your own healing. You've dissolved ancient codes of limitation that locked entire family lines and cycles of struggle. Relatives you don't know by name will feel new energy stirring in their lives. Patterns that persisted for generations are unraveling, and even those not yet born will inherit freedom instead of restriction. The divine delight in what you've done is expressing itself in ways that touch the physical world. Technology may falter in your presence as it attempts to interpret your frequency. Animals approach you with unusual trust, sensing the harmlessness of true alignment. Even the earth itself responds, as plant life thrives in the radiance you emit. Justice is unfolding not in spectacle but in precise, undeniable moments marked with the signature of the unseen. Those who once dismissed or diminished you will feel an inexplicable need to reconcile. Old barriers will vanish through sudden openings no strategy could have forced. Circumstances once stacked against you will dissolve as though invisible hands cleared the path. What looks like coincidence to others, you will recognize as confirmation, subtle signs of a universe rearranging itself around your rise. The expressions that are beginning to rise from within you aren't just personal achievements, they're transmissions that carry frequencies of healing. Whether through words, visuals, sound, or movement, what you release into the world will awaken dormant possibilities in everyone who encounters it. Your creations are no longer simple works, they're activations, blueprints of transformation encoded with your energy. What's unfolding isn't about ordinary success, it's about becoming a catalyst for mass awakening. Even your relationship with time has transformed into something fluid. In moments of deep immersion, whole stretches collapse into what feels like a single breath, while in moments of intensity, you can stretch seconds into spacious clarity. Time has become a tool in your hands, bending to the state of consciousness you now embody. The collaborations entering your life aren't coincidences or mere opportunities. They're long-standing agreements finally coming to life. Beings who have been tethered to your energy across ages are stepping forward in this lifetime so you can build together. These aren't random meetings, they are convergences designed to magnify your impact in ways you couldn't accomplish alone. Your inner senses are also mutating into something greater than instinct. You're starting to perceive outcomes before the first step toward them has even been taken. This isn't about predicting futures, but about seeing through the illusion of sequence, standing in a perspective where time folds open and reveals itself as transparent. With this vision, you're able to move through reality with precision others mistake for luck. The flow of resources that supports you is operating on principles beyond ordinary manifestation. Needs are being met before you can even articulate them. Channels of provision open in exact measure, exactly when they're required. What looks like coincidence is actually divine coordination, a logistical system run by consciousness itself, weaving circumstances to ensure you are fully supplied for your mission. The joy that was muted in childhood has returned with force, but now it's woven with wisdom. Your capacity for feeling has expanded into a spectrum that holds both profound depth and explosive celebration at the same time. You are no longer restricted to one frequency of emotion. You are able to embody many simultaneously, making you a living bridge for the fullness of human experience. And the influence of your breakthrough isn't confined to this planet. It has been registered across networks of awareness that span galaxies, shifting timelines on a planetary scale. Civilizations that have been watching Earth's awakening process recognize your rise as a marker of acceleration. What you've embodied is altering more than your story, it's speeding up the transformation of worlds. The vessel you walk in is undergoing changes that most could never endure. Every organ, every system, every cell is reorganizing itself to sustain levels of awareness that once belonged only to being spoken of in legend. Your body is being sculpted into a form capable of holding frequencies that redefine what it means to be human. You are no longer simply adapting, you are becoming the prototype of an entirely new design. The imprint of your journey will not only inspire, it will instruct. The decisions you make now are recorded within the invisible field of possibility, becoming maps for others who will one day need to find their way out of the same labyrinths. You aren't just unlocking doors for yourself, you're leaving them open so others can step through with greater ease. What was once private healing has now become shared architecture. The way you've balanced immense change without being consumed by ego is the reason you've been entrusted with greater responsibility. Where lesser minds would collapse under the weight of expansion, you've chosen humility alongside strength, compassion alongside clarity. This integration is the very credential that qualifies you for what's next. Even your voice is being recalibrated, carrying codes that alter the inner structure of those who listen. Casual words now ripple like catalysts, awakening dormant layers of potential in everyone who hears you. Your relationship with prosperity is no longer defined by accumulation. You've become the current through which infinite supply flows to accomplish purposes greater than yourself. Wealth is not something you possess, it's energy passing through you, taking form only long enough to fund creations that elevate collective life. The swiftness with which you're mastering capacities that usually take lifetimes is shocking even to those observing from higher planes. Abilities are returning to you that were never truly lost. Clarity of thought sharper than spoken language, insight into events before they unfold, the ability to direct energy toward healing without effort. All of these are rising to the surface as natural expressions of who you were before conditioning buried them. They are not new skills you are learning, but ancient truths you are remembering. Your heart has expanded beyond previous limits. You can stand in the grief of humanity's struggles while simultaneously celebrating the majesty of existence. You can hold compassion for those still asleep while maintaining unwavering boundaries that protect your path. This emotional breadth allows you to walk into chaos with unshakable steadiness, guided by a wisdom that feels as if it has been breathed into you by the divine itself. The creative power coursing through you has reached levels where thought and manifestation nearly touch. Concepts no longer remain dormant ideas, they rush into form with startling speed. What you envision in the morning begins to materialize before nightfall. You've become a living bridge between imagination and reality, proof that the gap between vision and embodiment can collapse when consciousness aligns with its highest design. The visions coming through you now are no longer abstract imagination. They arrive with the exact support, people, and resources necessary to bring them into form almost instantly. Sleep has turned into a classroom of higher intelligence, where information too expansive for the waking mind is delivered in pieces your spirit can absorb. What you're receiving in the night hours is more than imagery. You're being instructed in advanced forms of consciousness, shown pathways not yet visible to others, and handed precise strategies for navigating choices ahead. Dreams have become your entry point into a level of education that transcends any earthly curriculum. The way divine favor surrounds you is producing invisible shields that filter what reaches you. Energy out of alignment with your purpose no longer has access. Attempts at manipulation dissolve before they can take root. Even unconscious patterns projected by others are transformed into lighter frequencies before they touch your field. Your presence itself is starting to alter the environment in undeniable ways. Liquids hold a different quality after passing through your awareness. Food infused with your intention carries greater vitality. Environments feel reset after you've moved through them. Matter itself bends toward harmony in response to your state of alignment. The expansion of your capacity to hold others is beyond ordinary empathy. You can now stand in the depth of someone's despair without being weighed down by it. At the same time, you transmit the exact resonance they need to find relief. Simply being near you becomes a safe space where release, healing, and transformation happen naturally. People recognize without words that your presence feels different. It's as if something within them finally relaxes in your company, allowing patterns carried for lifetimes to dissolve. What once felt impossible to shift begins to loosen effortlessly. Your energy has become a sanctuary where others remember their own wholeness. This is not just about your healing, it's about becoming a living template of transformation. By existing at this frequency, you are demonstrating to others what is possible, offering a living example of how divinity can move through human form to restore balance in every space it touches.